Well, when you see a guy like Khabib Nurmagomedov just run through people in the UFC and you know where that guy's from, you got to go, well, how many more of those guys are over there?
We have no idea how good he may end up being in the long run, Luke.
Survive round 2, but it's all Usman Nurmagomedov.
When he consistently faces the best in the world, when he adds new skills to his game. But look at what he is right now at 24. You know, with Coach Khabib behind him, Islam Makhachev as another brother training him and pushing him in his corner. I mean, this guy in every single category was nasty, was well game plan, was just, I mean, from distance to accuracy. He's a 10 out of a 10 across the board in almost every single category.
But it's all Usman Nurmagomedov. Will he survive?
Usman Nurmagomedov landed in his new home of Bellator with a pristine 11-0 record, and despite picking up a reputation as a finisher later in his run, his first fight actually went to a decision, only the second of his career up to that point. The man who welcomed Usman to the cage for his second Bellator outing was Manny Muro, a fighter on a 3-fight win streak who didn't expect himself to be an easy outing for his opponent. Speaking to the media pre-fight, Muro backed himself to be a tough fight for Usman wherever the action took place, backing his well-roundedness to be the key to his success. It ain't easy to step in there with someone as hyped as Usman was, and to his credit, it didn't seem as though Manny Muro was intimidated by the moment. But the fight, as it turned out, did not go well for Muro at all. Despite his confidence coming in, he truly had nothing for Nurmagomedov in there. And after a lengthy spell of trying to get Usman off of him up against the cage, it was the knees of this blue-chip prospect that started to do real damage. One hard shot to the midsection after a break from the clinch put Muro down immediately.
Mamma mia, what a stoppage by Usman Nurmagomedov!
And the follow-up shots? Barely necessary, but enough to earn Usman his second win in the Bellator cage. Manny Muro, to put it simply, was outmatched in there with this future champ. And in the days that followed, he released a brief statement to his fans, promising his eventual return. Fighting someone like Usman Nurmagomedov is going to be a pretty tough ask, no matter who you are. But for Patrik Pietila, his 11-8 pro record did very little to strike fear into the hearts of those who were rooting for Nurmagomedov on fight night. Patrik himself made it clear that he wanted to make a good account of himself, to prove that his role in the fight was more than just a reason to give Nurmagomedov another win on his record.
Yeah, it will mean a lot because everyone think I'm just like easy win, and Usman will beat me like and move on. And I'm seeing the like trigger, like why they bring this guy and why they don't give real fights for Usman and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm so ready to prove them all wrong.
Unfortunately for Pietila, his levels were very quickly exposed by the much more capable Usman Nurmagomedov. The fight, which was contested at a catch weight of 160 pounds, was a pretty straightforward affair. Usman took his opponent to the mat within a minute of the bout's beginning, slowly cutting through his defenses in a very patient and composed manner. He then found his way to the rear naked choke, tapping Pietila in a fight that was, let's face it, little more than a warm-up for what would eventually follow. The post-fight statement from Pietila was brief, as he admitted to falling short of his goals, while promising to move onwards. The first legitimate test of Usman Nurmagomedov's Bellator career came when he was matched up against the 7-1 Chris Gonzalez, a guy who had already shared the cage with solid opposition in the form of Sayed Awad and Roger Huerta. He is by no means a world beater, but definitely a step up in competition. The occasion, and the Nurmagomedov family name, were things that Gonzalez was certainly aware of in the build-up, but by the sound of things, not offset by. It was a very chilled out Chris Gonzalez that fielded questions from the media, and he made it clear that if things did boil down to a dogfight, that he was the bigger dog. But dragging a fighter of Usman's quality into a reckless brawl was a far more difficult proposition than expected for Gonzalez.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna do what I do. Just go out there, be athletic, be patient, pick my spots. When I'm in, be all the way in. When I'm out, be all the way out. Usman is currently undefeated. He doesn't really have the best resume, I wouldn't say. He hasn't really fought too many guys. They've been building him pretty good, but I'm not overlooking him by any means. I know what he's capable of. I know what his family is capable of. So I'm going to give him all the respect that he deserves and his family deserves. But at the end of the day, it's a dog fight. I think I'm the better dog.
Once again, Usman Nurmagomedov let his work in the octagon do the talking. And within 3 minutes of the fight's start, he had latched onto the front choke that scored him the tap. However, all hope was not lost for Chris Gonzalez, who rebounded with a big finish of the former UFC lightweight Max Roshkov, promising the media that he was far from out of the title picture, despite his recent loss to the champ. Finally, the title fight was set for November of 2022, as the very confident Usman Nurmagomedov and his perfect 15-0 record were put to the test against one of Bellator's most reliable veterans. The champion, Patricky Freire, brother to the great Patricio Pitbull, wasn't exactly impressed by Usman's record though. In fact, he kicked off the trash talking by accusing this latest Nurmagomedov talent of getting by on his family name alone.
I'm ready for everything. I think he don't deserve this title fight. He fight for the title because he have a big nickname, Nurmagomedov. That's it, I think, about this. But let's do it. If Bellator put him against me, let's destroy.
When the fight was finally booked, Pitbull kept his trash talking simple, promising to beat Nurmagomedov wherever the fight took place, promising that he would do whatever was necessary to get the win. Was this about to be the coronation of yet another member of Team Khabib and the Nurmagomedov dynasty? Or was Pitbull going to be proven correct, as the Usman Nurmagomedov hype train rolled to an unconvincing halt? Well, as it turned out, the fight was a dominant showing from Usman, a real tour de force that saw him take home every round on each of the judges' scorecards, including one 10-8 round for good measure. In a statement released to his fans shortly after, Pitbull blamed himself for being too cautious in there with the newly crowned champion. In his eyes, he gave too much respect to Usman's unique style of fighting, and in the end, it cost him. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to click the bell to be notified of future videos. If you want to be featured in the video, leave a comment down below.